Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm holding in my hand the first production prototype of the knife that I've been working on with my friend Gordon Hanson, who is a knife maker from Falls City, Oregon. If you haven't noticed from my videos, I am a knife collector. I love knives. I've been into knives ever since I've been into cooking, and I've always wanted to sort of design my own knife, something that fits all of my needs specifically, and something that is as beautiful to hold as it is to behold. That's what I've come up with Gordon. So I met Gordon driving around the Pacific Northwest. We were staying at a rental property that he had in his house, a tiny home that he had on his property. And when we got there, I saw him coming out of a shop and covered in sort of metal stains. He has a great big beard, and he looks like someone who works with his hands a lot. So I asked him what he does, and he said that he is a bladesmith. I told him I was a chef, and so the next day together we made a knife, and he showed me how to make it from start to finish. It was a knife, Santoku in style, but a little bit slimmer towards the tip so that it gives you a little bit more precision when you're doing precise knife work. It was a knife shape that I've sort of wanted my whole career, but I've never really found exactly. And so I made that knife. In fact, this is the very first knife this is the one that I made with him. I spent 2 days wielding a 3-pound hammer and hammering a billet of 20-layer suminagashi steel with a sandwiched core of Shiro2, so like a very high carbon steel, very hard steel. I spent 2 days pounding it and heating it and quenching it and hardening it before cutting a handle and putting it all together. Since then, in the years since then, Gordon and I have talked a bit about knife design and what we would want to see in a knife if we were ever going to collaborate on one together, and this is what we came up with. It is a little bit slimmer and lighter than the first knife I made. The heel is a little bit slimmer, so it's a little more slender, a little more well balanced, obviously because this is made with his hand, his experienced hands, and not mine. However, it has all of the same sort of qualities that I was looking for in a knife. So the start of the design is a Japanese style santoku. So santoku means 3 qualities. So a santoku is a knife that is designed, a Japanese style knife that is designed to work with meat, work with vegetables, work with seafood. So anything that you're going to be cutting in the kitchen, a santoku is going to work. The difference in my design versus a traditional santoku comes down to the tip. So a traditional santoku would have a bit more of a sort of square tip, whereas our knife tapers down to the point that's more similar in style to a Western style chef's knife or a gyuto. It also has a slightly steeper curve here, which means that you can use it the way you would use a santoku, so a chopping motion up and down, but you can also use it the way you would use a Western knife with a nice rocking motion for sort of rapid mincing of things. So for me, it's really all the qualities of a santoku plus the qualities of a Western chef's knife, all sort of in one really supremely usable package, and a pretty one too. It also the finish on it is an ashiji finish, so it's hammered and then most of the blade is left unpolished, so that you're going to see the sort of pits and marks from the hammer in there. Those are more than aesthetic. They actually help make sure that when you're slicing vegetables that they don't stick to the blade, so things will fall off the blade a lot more easily than a perfectly smooth blade. I think it also just makes it look really nice to use. But more than just being functional, for me, a knife being the most important tool in any cook's kitchen, it needs to be something that you want to hold and something that you get pleasure out of, even when you're not cutting with it. This is a knife that, whenever I see it hanging on the wall, I just kind of want to go over and pick it up and start admiring it and start using it. And for me, that's the best kind of tool, the kind of tool that brings you pleasure just from using it. There's a couple of other sort of unique features on it. The handles are made from 200-year-old black walnut from a tree in McMinnville. And there's banding with my signature colors, guava pink and golden yolk. So it's just a little taste of color on there. I think it adds a lot of beauty. For knife nerds out there, it is made with Suminagashi steel, 20 layers of it. So it has a not a Damascus pattern, although some people will call it Damascus, but it's a Suminagashi, so sort of a Japanese style layered steel pattern that is acid etched to acid treated to then sort of bring out that pattern a little bit more. The center layer of the blade is shirotu. It's hardened to a Rockwell hardness of 60 to 61, so a very hard knife that is going to get a very, very sharp edge and maintain that edge. It is 11.6 inches in length with a blade that's just over 6 inches long, 6.5 inches long. It weighs 134 grams, which to me is sort of a really nice weight for everyday use. There's a very limited number of these are made. So Gordon is making all of these by hand. So we are making a run of 100 of them to start. It's a very labor-intensive process. It's very high-quality materials. It's made right in Falls City, Oregon, at his knife shop. Every knife is going to come with a signed certificate of authenticity that tells you a little bit about its story, as well as sort of all of its statistics. And I hope that if you are one of the folks who wants to order this and get this in your home, that you will use it every day and you'll find as much pleasure out of using it as Gordon and I have had in designing and constructing them. And I will leave a link wherever you get my links from. See you later.